My name's Josh. I'm 24, work part-time at a hardware store, and I've lived in this apartment complex just outside the city for about 6 months. It's quiet here, mostly families, a few older folks, and the kind of neighbors that smile but don't ask questions. I like it that way. You keep your head down, pay rent, and nobody bothers you. Except for her. Apartment 1B. I don't even know her name. She moved in maybe a month after me. Mid-30s, always dressed like she's not trying, but somehow always noticed. The kind of woman who waters her plants in shorts and never checks if anyone's watching. The kind of woman you try not to stare at when you pass her in the hallway, because if she caught you, you wouldn't know what to do. Today was the first time she spoke to me. It was late afternoon. The heat hadn't broken all day, and the complex courtyard felt like a frying pan. I'd just come back from a delivery run for the store, still in my uniform shirt, sweat clinging to my back, when I saw her wrestling with the hose in her tiny front yard patch. She spotted me from across the walkway. "Hey!" she called out, breathless, brushing her hair out of her face. "You look like you know how to handle this thing." I slowed. "The hose?" She tilted her head, smiling like I was the one making it weird. "You offering or just staring?" I stepped over. The hose was kinked, barely sputtering water. The nozzle had a cheap plastic trigger, half broken. I crouched down to untangle it, careful not to let my eyes drift. She stood barefoot on the warm concrete, one hand on her hip, the other shielding the sun from her eyes. I could smell sunscreen and lavender. "It's always twisting up," she said. "I think it likes attention." I twisted the valve shut, straightened the line, gave it a quick tug. The nozzle came to life, spraying a clean stream. She clapped once, mock applause. "You're good with your hands." "Occupational hazard," I muttered. I went to hand her the hose back, but she stepped closer. "You've got it now. Might as well finish what you started." So I did. Watered the hydrangeas along her walkway, the pots hanging off her little wooden trellis. She didn't move away, just hovered, talking casually about the weather, the neighbors, how loud the people in 2C get at night. And then, just as I leaned forward to aim the spray toward the far corner, I felt something shift. She was behind me, too close. I heard her breath first. Then, "You're getting me wet too." My hand twitched on the nozzle. She smiled when I turned. There was nothing innocent in it, just challenge. Like she knew exactly what she said and waited to see what I'd do with it. Before I could answer, a voice echoed from across the courtyard. "Mrs. Langston, you still need help with that patio table?" It was Marvin, the building manager. He was rounding the corner, clipboard in hand, and headed our way. She stepped back fast, like nothing had happened. "I'm good, Marvin. Just giving the plants a little drink." He glanced at me, eyes narrowing. "Didn't know you two were neighbors." I wiped my hands on my shirt. "Just passing by." Marvin didn't say anything, just gave a polite nod and turned, but slower this time. As he disappeared into the next walkway, she looked at me. That same smile, but now quieter, more calculated. "Thanks for the help," she said softly, taking the hose from me. "You always come when someone calls?" "I guess it depends who's calling," I said. She didn't answer, just turned the water off, looped the hose carefully on its hook, then brushed a drop of water off her collarbone like it was nothing. Behind us, the sound of Marvin's keys rattled in a door. Somewhere on the second floor, a kid yelled for his mom. She walked up her steps without another word. And right before disappearing behind her door, she glanced over her shoulder. Not a look of goodbye, but of unfinished business. I stood there longer than I should have. The sun was dropping fast, shadows stretching across the courtyard. I knew two things clearly. This was dangerous, and it had already started. I didn't expect to see her again so soon. But the next evening, Just as the sky turned the soft color between day and night, there was a knock at my door. It was light, like she wasn't sure if she should finish it, or like she didn't want anyone else to hear. I opened it, and there she stood. Hair tied up loosely, denim shorts, a faded green tank top with a tiny smear of soil near her hip. She smelled like fresh earth and warm air. "Hey," she said, casual but not really. "The hose. It's acting up again." My heart kicked a little. She could have called Marvin. She could have waited for the weekend. But she came here. She glanced over her shoulder, making sure no one was watching. The hallway was quiet, but everyone in this building had a habit of listening. "Come over for a second? It's dripping all over my patio." I grabbed my keys and followed her across the courtyard. Lights flickered on around the complex. Balcony lamps, motion detections by the stairwells. Cameras above the entrances blinked their tiny red eyes. The kind of evening where every movement seems under review. When we stepped into her place, it felt strangely intimate. Not messy, but lived in. Plants everywhere. A few half-framed photos leaning against a wall. Windows cracked open to let in the breeze. A slow ceiling fan spun overhead, moving the warm air just enough to keep it from feeling still. "The hose is outside," she said, though she didn't lead me to it yet. Instead, she lingered in the kitchen, reaching for 2 glasses. "You want water?" she asked. The way she asked made me feel like the question had a second meaning. I leaned against the counter, watching her fill the glasses. "Sure." She handed me one. Her fingers brushed mine longer than necessary, and then her phone buzzed on the counter. The name Greg flashed on the screen. She flipped the phone face down without a second glance. She must have seen the way I noticed. "He's just a friend," she said quickly. "He comes around too much." So there was someone who didn't live here, but someone who might walk into this exact room any second. She drank, set her glass down, and finally motioned toward the back patio. The sliding door stuck a little before opening. I stepped out into the glow of string lights draped along the fence. Her garden looked different at night, like it was holding its breath. The hose lay coiled neatly, too neatly, not kinked, not leaking. I looked back at her. "You didn't need help," I said. "No," she admitted, stepping closer. "But I needed you." Something in my chest tightened. The world around us shrank to the small patch of patio and warm lights. I could feel heat rising from the concrete beneath my shoes. Then footsteps, clear, slow, crossing the gravel outside her fence. She reached forward quickly, fingers gripping my wrist. "Not here," she whispered. "Neighbors walk their dogs this time of night." I followed her back inside, sliding the door closed silently. My heartbeat was too loud in my own ears. She turned the lock, though I wasn't sure whether she was keeping trouble out or in. Inside again, the air felt thicker. She moved past me, brushing the front of her shoulder against my arm, intentionally or not. On the table near the window, her gardening gloves lay in a small pile. One glove slid off the edge, landing at my feet. "Pick that up for me?" Her voice was softer now, low. I crouched to get it, and when I rose, she was just inches away, too close to think straight. She took the glove from my hand, fingers closing over my knuckles. My breath caught. Time slowed. Then her phone rang. Loud, sharp. The name again, Greg. Her eyes flicked toward the phone, then back to me. Conflict, regret, desire, fear. All of it in one look. I stepped back first. "You should get that," I said, though every part of me didn't want her to. She hesitated, then grabbed the phone and walked quickly down the hallway. Voice hushed as she answered. I couldn't hear all the words, but I heard enough. "No, don't come by. It's late. I said tomorrow. I stood alone in the living room staring at the ceiling fan spinning slower now, like it knew things had changed direction. She returned, phone locked again, voice steady but gaze restless. He's just being dramatic, she said. He gets jealous. It's inconvenient. She looked at me like she was trying to read my reaction. Did I scare easily? Or would I stay? For a moment, neither of us spoke. She reached for the glove still in her hand, turning it over between her fingers. This small, ordinary thing suddenly felt like a shared secret. Then a knock on the patio glass, sharp and unexpected. We both froze. Someone's silhouette was visible through the curtain. Broad shoulders, standing too still, too close. She whispered my name for the first time. Josh! And I felt everything inside me drop. Whoever was out there wasn't supposed to be. Not now. Not with me here. The silhouette outside the curtain didn't move. Just stood there, frozen, like it was listening. Neither of us breathed. I could hear the dull hum of a neighbor's TV through the wall, the creak of the ceiling fan, and the soft tremble in her breath. Then a knock, 2 short taps on the glass. Not loud, but enough to break whatever fragile thing was left between us. She moved first, quietly stepped toward the curtain, barefoot on the tile. She didn't open it, just looked through the side slit. It's him, she whispered. Greg. Her body tensed all over, like she'd just been caught in a crime. She turned to me. You need to go. Now. I hesitated. Every muscle in my body said move, but my feet didn't obey. If he sees you... She didn't finish the sentence, but her eyes said enough. I crossed the room in 2 steps, looked around, and caught sight of the narrow hallway leading to her bedroom. Before she could speak again, I was already inside, pulling the door shut just as she slid open the patio. I heard her voice change, warm, fake, effortless. Hey, I wasn't expecting you this late. Greg's tone was lower. You didn't answer. From behind the bedroom door, I could hear everything. The soft thump of his shoes stepping inside. The tension in his silence. The way he wasn't quite convinced. I stood in the dark, still holding that stupid gardening glove in my hand. I should have dropped it, left, walked out and let her deal with it. But I didn't. I moved toward her closet, slid it open slowly, and stepped inside. The air smelled faintly of her shampoo. Hangers brushed against my back. My fingers clenched the glove, now damp in my palm. I waited, every second stretching like hours. From the other room, their voices blended, half conversation, half interrogation. You've been acting different. I've been busy. There's someone else, isn't there? Silence. You're not even denying it. Then the sharp sound of a chair scraping. Greg, stop. You want me to leave, say it. Right now. Another silence. Then her voice, quiet but firm. You should go. His footsteps came fast. Angry. The front door slammed harder than it needed to. And just like that, it was quiet again. I didn't move until I heard the deadbolt click. Then her steps, soft, uncertain, approached the bedroom. The door creaked open. She didn't turn on the light. You okay? She asked. I nodded, even though she probably couldn't see. She crossed to me in the dark, standing just inches away. I held out the glove. She looked down at it, smiled weakly, then took it, and instead of putting it away, slid it into her pocket. That changed something. We didn't speak. She walked back to the kitchen. I followed, tension still clinging to both of us. On the counter, her phone buzzed again. She didn't touch it this time, just watched it flash. Then she pulled open a drawer and grabbed a lighter. She walked to the back door, stepped onto the patio, and struck the flame. In one quick motion, she lit a tiny pile of old papers, Envelopes, receipts, scraps. I stood behind her. What are you doing? Getting rid of the things I don't need. The fire flickered, casting shadows across her face. She turned to me, the glove still tucked in her back pocket. He has keys, she said. He could have walked in. I swallowed. Then why did you let me stay? She didn't answer. Instead, she reached for the hose, turned the valve gently, and ran her fingers through the stream. It glistened in the firelight. We're not careful, she said quietly. This gets messy fast. Then she handed me the hose. Her fingers closed around mine again, deliberate this time, not playful. I aimed the water at the flames. Steam rose, and in that moment, it felt like we'd both crossed into something neither of us could undo. Back inside, I helped her lock the door, double-check the windows. She paused at the table, pulled the glove from her pocket, and placed it down between us like a pact. If he comes back, he won't, I said. She looked at me again, that same question behind her eyes. Are you sure you're ready for this? I didn't answer, but I didn't leave. The next day came quiet, but not calm. I couldn't focus at work. Every time the door chimed at the hardware store, I flinched. I kept checking my phone even though I knew she wouldn't text. She couldn't. Not after last night. When I finally got home, the courtyard felt different. Too still, like the air was waiting for something. Her blinds were half drawn. Her door was shut. No note, no sign. But the glove was gone from her patio railing. That night I waited. I told myself I wouldn't, but I sat by the window anyway. Just after 10, a light blinked once behind her curtain. Then it went dark again. The next morning, there was a brown paper bag at my door. Inside, a pair of gardening gloves. Mine now. No note, no explanation. It became a rhythm. She'd knock when no one was around. I'd come by to help with the hose, or the trellis, or something else that didn't need fixing. We never talked about Greg. We never made plans. It was always unsaid, but it kept happening. Then, one evening, I came back late from work and saw a black SUV parked near the gate. Greg. He was leaning against the hood, scrolling through his phone. I walked past like I didn't see him, but he looked up, eyes sharp, measuring. I nodded. He didn't nod back. When I stepped into my place, there was a folded note under my doormat. No name, no handwriting, just a glove symbol drawn in pen, hers. It wasn't safe anymore. Later that week, Marvin stopped me by the mailboxes. Everything good, Josh? Yeah. Why? He shifted his clipboard. Just keep it low. That unit's had complaints before. He didn't need to say more. Word was getting around. People notice things. People talk. I should have ended it. I tried to. For 3 days I didn't go over. I didn't text. I avoided the courtyard. Then, on the 4th night, I found the glove again, wet, folded over my doorknob. That was the night I crossed the line. I waited until almost midnight. The complex was silent. No light in the windows. I slipped out and crossed barefoot, cutting through the grass. Her door creaked when it opened. She didn't say anything. She just let me in. Inside, everything was darker. Even her. Her eyes didn't ask this time. They knew. We didn't speak for long. Just the sounds of the fan, the city hum beyond the glass. We stood close but didn't touch. Like touching would have ruined the tension. I'm not going to lie anymore, she said. Neither am I. The glove lay on the table again, right between us. That was the last time I saw Greg's SUV. But the risk didn't disappear. It just became part of it. Now I don't knock. She leaves the side gate unlatched when it's safe. I wait until after 10, until the courtyard's still and I cross. No lights, no talking, just a tap on the back door. If the glove is out, hanging by the patio rail, I know it's okay. It's not love, not even something I could name, but it's real, and it's ours. Last night, when I stepped inside, she was already barefoot, watering her plants like nothing was unusual. "You're getting me wet again," she said. And this time I didn't flinch.